Hi guys! So in this video I wanted to make some quick press-ons for myself, so we're following this inspo picture by Nail Fantasy. So I'm going to show you how to do this design. So I just filed off the little notch on all of the tips, and now I'm going in with the base colors of this set. So these are the colors I'm using. I didn't bother buffing the nail tips because I just wanted to make a quick set for myself, but if it's for an order or for a client, you would have to prep the nail tips and buff them. So I'm just doing 2 coats of each of the base colors on the tips. So we're gonna start with the thumbnail, which has this cute 3D tulip nails. So this is the nail mold I'm using, and I'm gonna mix some rhinestone glue with some of the pink color that I want. So the reason I like to use the Macart rhinestone glue for the mold is because it is non-wipe, so it will dry without a sticky layer. So I just wipe the nail mold and then I fill in the tulip that I want to use. Another reason I like to use the rhinestone glue for the mold is because it will dry all the way in. If you just use normal gel polish, sometimes it doesn't dry all the way. So here I'm just filling in the tulips with the mixture. And then if some goes outside, you can just clean it with a brush and some acetone. And this is after it's dried, and look at how cute that is. So I'm just gonna repeat the same process for 2 more tulips. And this is how they come out. So I do the same thing, but this time with a green to make the leaves. So I mix the rhinestone glue with some of the green that I want. And just repeat the same process. Now I'm using my matte top coat because we're going to do some chrome isolation. And then I'm just using my gel to make the border of the tulips. Again, this is also a non-wipe gel. And then you want to cure this gel for 30 seconds instead of 60 seconds so that the chrome sticks well onto it. And this is how the chrome came out. So nice. And then I'm using my rhinestone glue again to stick the tulips that we had just made onto the snail. And then I'm adding some of the pearls. Just flash curing everything. And then I had mixed earlier some rhinestone glue with the green gel. So this is what I'm using to make the stems of the tulips. I use this so that it's a bit more 3D like. I flash cure in between each stem and then fully cure for 60 seconds. Now I'm just going to add the leaves the same way we had done the tulips. And then I filed some of the leaves because it had some of the stringy extra bits from the mold. I like to add some more rhinestone glue on top of my pearls so that they don't tarnish. And then we're just going to add some of the lines for details and some shading on the tulips. And then we're just gonna dry that for 60 seconds and then top coat it. This is how the snail came out and I love it. Now we're gonna go on to the index finger. So I had already done this milky white base color and now we're just going to top coat it and dry it for 60 seconds for our chrome. Now I'm just rubbing the chrome in. And then I'm just going to file the edges of the nail tip after rubbing the chrome in. This removes any of the chrome powder that's going to be left on the tip so that the top coat can seal it in well. And now we're just making some of the 3D lines with the Macart rhinestone glue. And then I will dry this again for about 20 to 25 seconds because we're going to rub some more chrome onto the 3D part. And then you're going to full cure for 20 to 25 seconds and then rub the chrome in. So I use a different chrome powder for the 3D parts than the base. And then we're just going to add some charms onto it. I like to make sure the charms are fully on and I don't leave any gaps because this can get caught in your hair and everything. So after you flash cure your charms on, you want to make sure you fully cure everything for 60 seconds. And then we're just going to top coat everything. Make sure to cap the edges, especially since we've done chrome. Now we're moving on to the middle finger. This one has an aura look. So I'm just taking some of the gel from the MPA gel palette and ombreing it from the middle. So this is how I usually do my ombres. And you're gonna wanna do about 2 or 3 coats depending on how dark you want this color. But make sure you do very thin coats. I think this palette blends very well. And then we're going to use some stencils. So we're gonna stick the heart and the butterfly onto the snail. Then we're taking some of the white from the MPA gel palette again, and this time we're gonna aura it on top of the stencils so that you get this cool look once you remove the stencils. Again, I did 2 coats for the white. Fully cure that for 60 seconds and then we're going to remove the stencil. And look at how pretty that looks. Now we're going to use the same white from earlier to make some stars. And make sure to use a very thin brush for this. And then we're adding some pearls again. I just love pearls. And then we're just gonna top coat that nail. Look at how pretty it looks. Now we're gonna move on to the ring finger. So we're gonna draw like a bouquet of tulips first. So I'm using the green I had used to mix earlier, but this time just the gel paint. And we're just gonna paint some of the stems. And then we're making the bow in the center of the bouquet. Now for the tulips, I had mixed another custom pink color using the MPA gel palette again. And we're just gonna make some few lines and connect it to the stem. These are gonna be our tulips. Then I'm gonna fully dry that. And then once it's dry, we're gonna use some of the white to add some details to the tulips. Oh, and I also forgot to add the lines of the bow earlier, so that's what I'm doing here. So here I'm adding some of the lines to the tulips with the white so that they look more like petals. And these are very thin lines. I'm gonna fully cure that again for 60 seconds. Now I'm using the matte top coat because we're going to do chrome isolation again, and using the same Model 1 sculpting gel from earlier. Just adding some of the lines using the gel, and then again just curing it for 30 seconds. Now I'm just adding a pearl in the middle of the bow, and then we're going to use the rhinestone glue to add some details onto the tulip petals. Make sure to cure between each of the details that you're adding, otherwise they're all going to blend together. And now we're just going to top coat that nail. Now moving on to the last nail, which is the pinky nail, we're going to use the same pink from earlier to ombre it onto this nail. So I use the same method for this as well. And I did 2 coats of this. Again, this gel palette blends in so well. I love it so much. Now, on the picture they had used silver caviar beads for this nail, but I don't have silver caviar beads, so I just used some chrome instead. So again, we're going to matte top coat before we do our chrome isolation. And then I'm just using the same black gel paint from the MPA gel palette to create my line, and this palette is also non-wipe, so the chrome is gonna look so good on it. For this palette, you can cure it for 60 seconds and the chrome will still stick so well onto it. And then we're just gonna add some stones. So I only like to apply the rhinestone glue on top of the pearls because pearls tarnish very easily. So I only do that on the pearls. The other stones don't really tarnish. And then I'm just gonna cure this nail and then we're gonna top coat. And then this is how the nail turned out. Looks so pretty. And this is how the full set turned out. Doesn't it look so gorgeous? I love it so much. And let me know what other nail designs you guys want to see. Otherwise, bye!